One of my favorite things to do is to look back at older YouTube videos, especially about the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Seriously, it's basically a gold mine.
It looks like it could be like being on strings, or it's like possessed by the puppet or the marionette actually, which could be a very interesting dynamic. Maybe he's gonna be the main antagonist of the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 game.
Whether it was fan-made songs that came out before the actual games did, theory discussions, old animations, or even actual gameplay videos, I always feel a wave of animatronic nostalgia creep back in. In early 2015 to mid-2016, FNAF had basically taken YouTube by storm and majorly influenced lots of other YouTubers to ride the hype train. Mix this with another one of the most popular games on YouTube at that time, and you've got Minecraft FNAF Roleplays. 12-year-old me ate these things up. Older Minecraft YouTubers like Sam Gladiator, Gizzy Gaza, and Caveman Films, just a few, have had their own FNAF roleplays as some of their most popular videos of all time. But in my opinion at least, there was one that easily stood out from the rest, and was Kid Me's personal favorite. Trust me, I'm an expert on the field.
La 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 la. Ow! Stop hitting me!
While most focused on the said YouTuber acting as the new night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the Pals' Freddy Fazbear Origins series did things slightly differently. 7 months before the release of Sister Location, Freddy Fazbear Origins was a very popular Minecraft roleplay series based in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's, created by the Pals. The Pals themselves were a channel formed by a group of friends and YouTubers, being Dennis Daly, Crafted RL, Coral Horrell, and Sub-Zero Exabyte, who mainly got popular from playing games like Minecraft and Roblox. While at the time they were very popular, amassing over 3 million subscribers, they disbanded in mid-2019 due to Coral essentially harassing a fan on Twitter. After this, each of the members decided to either do their own thing or just quit YouTube altogether. The series itself consisted of 39 episodes, split up in 5 different seasons, and spanned over 13 total hours of footage. And yes, I watched it all. Maybe you don't remember or just a newer fan, but back in the day, this was very popular with Five Nights at Freddy's fans, with every video in the series at least going over 1 million views, and it's to date their most popular roleplay series still up on their channel. So I wanted to try and recap the events of the story, and dive right back in and experience the series once again, as I did 8 years ago, to see if it really was as good as I once thought. In the series premiere, Dennis, Coral, Alex, and Sub all visit Freddy Fazbear's Pizza together in their car that I guess they drove in. Inside the pizzeria itself, the band of animatronics get ready to perform, with Bonnie on the drums, Chica on the guitar, Freddy on the xylophone, and Foxy singing. I don't know, it kinda sucked anyways. After the show, the animatronics meet up with each of the kids individually and take them away. Dennis, however, falls asleep for some reason and wakes up to Freddy, who knows exactly where his friends are. Except when he's taken back there, he's then murdered by Purple Guy, who places him and his friends in the animatronic suits, with Dennis being Freddy Fazbear, Alex being Bonnie, Sub being Chica, and Coral being Foxy. However, none of them can remember their past lives, and are forced to make pizzas as these animatronic characters, until they slip up from Foxy, which closes the place down for a while. This is when a new night guard takes the shift here, and the animatronics are not too keen on his appearance, deciding to try and scare him away. They succeed in doing this, but in turn the guard calls the cops. However, this cop doesn't investigate too far before being killed by Purple Guy, in his classic Robornica design, who has a secret hideout in the pizzeria's storage room. All traumatized by the incident they just saw, they cover up the secret door and try to cheer themselves up by playing a song.
Feel good about ourselves and deal with this in the morning. Yeah, deal with this in the morning when we feel better about ourselves.
A little while later, Bonnie narrates the story of Golden Freddy, who explicably appears before them and separates the gang. When Freddy meets up with Foxy, they decide to find their missing friends. Well, friend. They're not very big fans of Bonnie.
We need to find our friends, and by our friends I mean Chica.
Alright, yeah, Bonnie, it doesn't really matter if we find him or not. You know, if Golden Freddy killed him, it's like kind of like, alright, that's the price you gotta pay. It's kind of like a good thing, yeah.
That's when suddenly the new night guard is attacked by Golden Freddy, and from the sounds alone, it sounded pretty gruesome. They try running away, but Golden Freddy finds them and captures them in individual cages. Not too long after, a random person comes up and says that they'll be freed when they decide to visit and stay at a newer pizzeria. That's when Chica appears, freeing the rest of his friends. Might be a good time to mention that Chica is always referred to with male pronouns, likely due to Sub's possession. So for the rest of the video, I'll be calling Chica as they call him in the series. Anyway, they then decide to go back to Purple Guy's secret hideout and find his diary, discovering his plans of world domination. involving creating clones of the animatronics, turning them into murder robots, and taking over every pizzeria in the world. Sounds fairly reasonable. Trying to soon leave, they run back into Golden Freddy, who says he actually just really wants to help them. Which, is a lie, because he, along with Purple Guy, essentially just ships them out to the new pizzeria. This is where Season 2 starts us off. This pizzeria is essentially just a bigger version of what they had before, but seems to be still under construction. Investigating the new location, they run into Springtrap, or I guess just an empty animatronic suit, and I guess the idea of hunger because they all get hungry for some reason. This leads the group to devise a plot to try and capture and ultimately eat the construction worker that came here beforehand. Instead, however, Purple Guy shows up, defies the laws of gravity, and deactivates all the animatronics. This is when all of the kids' spirits are released, and their actual memories flood back in, including the one about the Purple Guy luring them into the back room. They decide to get revenge on him by, ending his life, accidentally killing the construction worker in the process. What they don't know is that Purple Guy slipped into the Springtrap suit to hide, but just like in the main series, this doesn't end so well for him. That's when the kids return back to their animatronic forms with their repressed memories. Well, all except for Sub, since Chica was destroyed for some reason. Like fully. That's when they get the brilliant idea to go back and let Sub inhabit the Springtrap character. Until they notice that, Purple Guy was in there and got spring-locked. But that doesn't stop Sub from taking it anyway. This kind of sets some sort of midlife crisis mode into Dennis at least, because he starts to contemplate if they should ultimately just move on from the tragedy. However, he and the rest of the animatronics decide to stay as these characters instead, even including a little montage at the end of Dennis writing and giving a letter to his mom.
Everything's gonna be okay, I promise. I miss you, Mom. Love, Dennis.
Soon after, we're introduced to the marionette, who is strangely missing his buttons. The pals' plan to make the puppet like them, I guess, is to lure them in with a boat full of rubber duckies. However, their plan doesn't go to plan, and they are quickly cornered. Until Freddy switches the puppet's music box on, letting them a moment to put an anvil on the music box, trapping the marionette inside. Then they, play hopscotch or something. After their encounter with the puppet, they soon discover that the pizzeria has now been fully fixed up. Well, besides the giant fan in the dead center of the show stage. Then we're introduced to Mangle, which, I'll be real, doesn't really amount to anything. They basically find him and use her to prank Freddy. The episode finishes on the owner of the establishment walking in, who eventually finds out that the animatronics are possessed, due to Foxy having to sneeze. Having to act quickly on their feet, the animatronics corner him and accidentally scare him so much that he falls into the giant fan. This is where they all freak out and decide to board up the fan, leaving no evidence behind. We also learn that none of the animatronics can actually leave the pizzeria, as they get electrically shocked when reaching the front door. Next, we cut to the new location's opening day to the public, and the group is quite nervous to go up there on stage, especially since they just killed the pizzeria's owner, who was supposed to cut the red tape declaring that the pizzeria was officially open. Traveling underneath the giant fan, they recover some of the owner's flesh and grotesquely stitch it onto the endoskeleton. You could even say they were trying to mimic the owner with an endoskeleton. I guess Scott's been taking some notes. However, when he's remote controlled to be on stage, he starts to suddenly glitch. But when the animatronics try to recover him, he explodes. I guess the audience thinks it's a cool act, however, because they don't seem to mind the blood that's been covered everywhere. Next, we're introduced to two new characters, revealing a new security guard who's defending himself against Balloon Boy with a spare Freddy mask. We're also introduced to the pizzeria's new owner, who's meant to be pretty good at his job. It seems it's been a good bit of time since the pizzeria was officially open. Time in this series is a little weird. Trust me, it's rarely officially stated. As the animatronics start to make more pizza, they hear some strange noises coming from the vents. Investigating further, they travel back to the underbelly of the giant fan and find Balloon Boy. They also run into the new night guard, who they don't immediately recognize as real due to the disguise he's wearing. Afterwards, they see Balloon Boy running amok in the dining hall, eventually calming him down and befriending him. The episode then ends on the security guard loading the criminal database into the animatronics, starting with Freddy. This comes in handy because just across the street from the pizzeria itself, a burglar had stolen a famous art piece and not been caught. Even the animatronics decide to start training against a potential burglary after hearing the news.
Get on the ground! Everyone get on the ground! Get on the ground! Put your hands on the floor! Wave them around like you're a dinosaur! I want you to jump 3 times or I'm gonna shoot you with my gun.
But you have a gun? Okay.
I do. 1, 2, 3. That's my police training.
Yeah, that was 3
All
jumps.
But this becomes a problem when the same thief arrives at the pizzeria and Freddy's spider sense goes off, eventually tracking him down and forcibly making him leave the location. Freddy and Springtrap notice that the perpetrator left his wallet, and they decide to see if he actually shows up the next day to find it and take him in. Except Freddy doesn't just take him in. He actually stabs him to death in a secluded part of the pizzeria. While Freddy thinks this is okay, Bonnie and Springtrap are horrified and take part in cleaning up the mess. However, right when they're about to clean up, Freddy's criminal database activates once again. Except this time it's trained on Foxy. Foxy attempts to run away, even running back into the dining hall with all the guests inside, but Freddy isn't giving up. The same security guard that ran the database system notices the predicament and shuts all of the animatronics off. Shortly after this, we jump to the animatronics, stuck on stage in a glass cage of sorts. This is where we jump straight to Season 3, which is a little long, so just stay with me. While all the animatronics are knocked out or asleep, I think, on stage, we cut back to Springtrap, or in this case, Sub as a child. We can see Purple Guy watching nearby while Kid Sub lies in his bedroom. Suddenly, the entire group wakes up and realizes that Springtrap has started going a little haywire, holding a knife and starting to, quote-unquote, sound like Purple Guy.
Springtrap? You sound a lot like Purple Guy.
After they knock him out, they start interrogating him with a dream machine that Foxy ordered online, express shipping and all. This machine then transports all the animatronics into Sub's dreams, turning them back into their children forms temporarily. In Sub's dreamscape, they're teleported into this old-looking house. Get familiar with it, because you're going to see it quite a lot. After investigating around for a few minutes, more like 6 entire minutes, they find Sub crying alone in his bedroom. He says, well, not actually, that he's been stuck in his bedroom, and Purple Guy has begun to take control of his animatronic body. That's when suddenly Nightmare Foxy appears in Sub's closet. The next episode starts right where we left off, with all the kids terrified on Sub's bed. When Dennis tries to leave through the left door, he's stopped by Nightmare Springtrap, another animatronic we saw at the start of the episode. So they quickly decide to use the other door to leave the bedroom. While the group attempts to find ways of leaving Sub's dreamscape, they run into Nightmare Springtrap a couple more times. They decide the best course of action is to try and find Sub's father's shotgun and use it against Nightmare Springtrap. The only problem is they can't seem to find it anywhere, until Sub finally realizes that it's been in his pocket the entire time.
Wait, Sub, you found the shotgun.
What?
Oh, wait, what? Where'd you find it? What? It was in your pocket the whole time? How did you even fit it in there?
Anyway, he then uses it on Nightmare Springtrap, which sends all the kids back to their animatronic forms at the pizzeria. Just kidding. While Dennis, Coral, and Alex all wake up in Alex's bedroom, Sub is still stuck back at his house with Purple Guy nearby. It seems that they've been transported to Alex's dream world this time, except when they leave his bedroom, they notice it's the same house from before, even mentioning that they don't really remember Sub's house even ever looking like this.
Why is it the same house?
Just here. Well, hold on. That goes back to my theory. Remember when I said that this could all be the doings of Purple Guy and none of it might actually be real?
Yeah.
Well,
True.
I mean, obviously, I don't remember Alex's house like this, but now that I think about it, I don't really remember Sub's house like this either. This is just kind of like a weird... Maybe this was Purple Guy's house at one point or something, and this is all he can think of.
After looking around for a bit, they discover a basement, which Purple Guy then locks them in. While discussing the plan to break out, involving the idea of lucid dreaming, Nightmare Bonnie appears and corners them. But suddenly they are transported into a vast green field, Alex assuming that his panic created a small happy place for them. However, Purple Guy appears and takes Dennis and Coral out of the dream, leaving Alex by himself. Dennis is then transported into Coral's dream. Again, trying to find Sub and Alex, they go back to the basement, but are both magically teleported into a cage in a small dungeon. After a jump scare from Purple Guy, Coral is somehow found in the cage's vent and tortured by something on the other end.
What?
They got me, Dennis.
I can hear you through the vent.
They got me.
Is that you?
They're looking at me funny, Dennis. They got knives in their hands.
After Dennis leaves the cage due to Coral's lucid dreaming skills, he runs into Nightmare Foxy and tries to hide. Somehow, after the lights turn off, Nightmare Foxy disappears and Coral is back in his bedroom. He finally explains that Purple Guy is trying to recruit them one by one for his plans of world domination, by personifying their worst imaginable fears through their dreams. Since all of their dreams are somehow connected due to their shared death at the hands of Purple Guy, they're both able to return back to the field they left Alex in. This is when they eventually meet up with Alex again, except he's acting a little different, as he's been cooped up inside a cave as Nightmare Bonnie.
5 years later.
You ever talk to Purple Guy when we left?
Oh yeah, he came. He said hi. And he had a big, long discussion with me. He was my only friend, really.
He was your only friend?
Yeah, but he ditched me too. He didn't come back. But he talked me into things, about things that I should do when you guys return. Yeah, which I really wanted to do for a long time.
Alex?
Guys, I've had so much fun waiting, so, I do like you guys. You've been so much fun.
Get out of here, Dennis! Get out of here!
Trying to get away, Coral quickly tries to dream up another world to escape to, which is shown to be the original pizzeria. But of course, Purple Guy follows them inside. That's when they're met in front of a moosh room, strangely, and decide to follow it all the way to the security office, where they're greeted at a dead end. Suddenly, Coral is claimed by Purple Guy and Dennis is left alone, but this time in his own bedroom. After a little while, Nightmare Springtrap enters Dennis's room, but Dennis recognizes that it's actually just Sub, who's acting a little strange. Same with Alex, who's inside of Nightmare Bonnie this time.
See, Alex, I'm telling you. Well, I mean, I didn't tell you this just yet, but he's not acting like himself. He's acting a little weird. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if you know anything about that, but...
Oh, yeah. No, everything's good.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, they both lead Dennis to a maze of sorts in the basement, where they both try to actively kill him. I see Scott has been taking even more notes. Inside the maze itself, he also finds Nightmare Foxy, or Coral, who, no surprise, is also acting really weird and keeps saying that we can go back.
We can go back. We can go back.
Back where?
We can go back.
Finally, Nightmare Foxy guides Dennis towards the exit, which is just the entrance leading back to the basement. As the animatronics force Dennis back to the cage he once was in Coral's dreams, they all pull out knives and corner him once again. They explain that when you die in the dream world, you become a better version of yourself, clearly influenced by the Purple Guy. However, thinking hard, Dennis is able to transport himself back to his old house, the real one. Opening the front door, he's greeted by all three of his friends, which are also covered in blood. Suddenly, the lights switch off and Dennis is met in front of Purple Guy and a spare animatronic suit of Nightmare Freddy, even though he looks more like Nightmare Fredbear. Although his choice is off screen, it seems that Dennis accepted his offer as he's quickly joined by all of his friends. Well, except for Sub, back in their Nightmare animatronic variations. While they start a game of hide and seek, they all find themselves back at the scary house. I don't know what else to call it. Where they decide to do a little spring cleaning.
Alright, well...
You know what? Yeah, if we are still in the dream, we can't be scared anymore. We've got to be happy selves in this lovely house. So why don't we clean up a bit, maybe? Make this place look really nice.
Soon, Freddy discovers the entrance back to the small dungeon they were just in, and Foxy lets him know that they were being mind-controlled by Purple Guy when they decided to jump him. Feel like at this point he kinda knows that. Purple Guy then reveals himself and tells the group that he tricked them once again, and that they all now work for him. With the lights switching off, when they're back on, Springtrap goes missing and is transported back in the vents, where you can clearly hear that he's being relentlessly tortured.
What's that, Springtrap? What? He's lodging a mop down your throat? Oh, that sounds awful.
He's doing what to your ears? Oh my
Springtrap,
word.
no. Stop screaming! Oh, it's piercing my ears! Oh, it's so
awful.
loud!
You're so loud, yeah.
But that's okay, because he appears out of thin air and explains that Purple Guy said he was going to torture them all one by one. This leads them to yet another plan, deciding to, and I'll put this lightly, end each other's lives with weapons so they can escape the dream world they're stuck in. With the blast of an RPG, they're all actually sent back to the pizzeria and in their old animatronic bodies. However, as they keep wandering around, they notice many differences from the pizzeria they were last left with, even finding a strange portal that leads them to the Nether, I guess. I think this part was just put in randomly, I don't really know. Anyway, Freddy wakes up when his friends push him into a pit of lava and finds very strange versions of his friends, like Baby Bonnie and Spider Coral. He suddenly wakes up again to his friends, seeming more normal this time, and decides to leave the attic. Good call. It's very evident that the pizzeria has changed quite a bit, with the security office being rehauled and the stage now displaying a sign that says the main animatronics will be returning newer than ever before. A new day begins, and the pizzeria is now open once again. While the animatronics are busy making pizza, Freddy decides to check up on the customers for the day, but quickly notices Purple Guy making a mad dash towards the bathroom. But when Freddy charges in, Purple Guy's gone. Waking up the next day, Freddy notices the amount of chairs they're missing and decides to get a few from the back room with Foxy by his side. But suddenly the animatronics are frozen and Purple Guy appears, warning them to shut down the pizzeria immediately or else. So they do. They try to get the place shut down by destroying the pizzeria from the inside, which is essentially just infesting the place with seagulls. I liked Foxy's idea better.
Well, no.
Why don't we blow up
if we come
government
in like a
buildings?
Ball, okay. Foxy, we can't do that because wait, that doesn't even affect the business.
Anyway, due to this, they're all sent back, except for Sub, in their child forms to the same scary house in front of Purple Guy, Golden Freddy, and Mangle, where he says that they did a bad job and they're going to limbo. Somehow, we're suddenly thrusted into Dennis's POV, where he follows Balloon Boy in a dark void that eventually leads to Sub's bedroom, which also results in my personal favorite moment in the series.
Wait, he passed me a book. Far into the forest lies a tiny cottage named Guruk. Guruk is known as the castle over the plains to nearby. This is just like an actual book. This has no relevance.
After a while stuck in the house, they realize that they can simply jump off the balcony to return back to their animatronic bodies at the pizzeria. This does successfully get them out of limbo, but they know that if they're not successful in closing down the pizzeria, they'll continue to be tormented by Purple Guy. So what they decide to do is use the Dream Machine on a random customer, which transports them to supposedly the same pizzeria. Except now, this kid is sitting on a throne, and the patrons here are, strangely, the toy animatronics. The animatronics' plan is to give the kid such a terrible gift that he stops going to the location, I think. In the next episode, the animatronics wake up from the kid's dream and are sent back to the pizzeria. Well, I guess they really never left. Back to making pizzas, they contemplate whether or not they should keep jumping into even more kids' dreams before noticing who's on stage. Well, look at that. It's the new and improved toy animatronics, meant to replace the current models. The animatronics waste no time in trying to destroy the newer ones, even setting a bomb inside the building that takes the power out. When they check out the generator, Foxy discovers that through severely shocking himself with the pizzeria's main battery, he's able to lose Purple Guy's influence over them, and even encourages the rest of the animatronics to do so. But that's not all. Foxy then proposes a grand plan to get back at him by leaving their old animatronic bodies and getting in the brand spanking new ones. This leaves the gang to fully destroy their animatronic bodies in the giant fan underneath the pizzeria. After the kids drop inside the fan, we see them briefly in their ghost forms. Then they run to the stage to get back into their new animatronic bodies. The new toy animatronic models feel fantastic, as they have the ability to transform their bodies and are more powerful than their previous versions. After another successful day, the animatronics all explore a few new rooms, including the playroom, the prize room, a small kitchen area, and a new revamped security office, which strangely contains the old version of Bonnie's mask. This leads them back to the playroom, where they find a secret door leading to the disassembled parts of their old bodies. Well, only really Bonnie so far, who also seems to be somewhat awakened. When the group returns back to the main kitchen, Withered Bonnie suddenly appears, scaring the entire group. But it seems he's pretty friendly, only wanting to know exactly where his face could be. That's when the group decides to help him out by entering the office and retrieving his mask. But Withered Bonnie leaves them locked inside, and the marionette is able to escape from the prize corner. After trying every single button inside of the security office, the gang is able to find one that actually opens the door. They kind of start to freak out as they know that the puppet is somewhere inside of the pizzeria and they need to find them. After checking literally everywhere, they discover the puppet behind the main stage, painting a picture of the entire group. Well, besides Dennis. The marionette tells them that they need to fully decorate the new pizzeria, so they in fact do decorate the main lobby of the building with superhero-themed stairs, a giant mural, and a bunch of watermelons. After they're all done decorating, the puppet brings them back into a never-before-seen room, and traps them inside, this turning out to be an incinerator. However, the marionette's plan to burn them all backfires because their new animatronic bodies are literally resistant to any fire damage. So what they do is cover themselves up behind big blocks of ash and wait for the puppet to return to turn the furnace back off. When they finally leave, they decide to devise yet another plan. This time putting into question whether Golden Freddy was actually evil or just working under Purple Guy's influence, because they could definitely use his help. After a few failed summonings, Bonnie simply calls the old pizzeria and Golden Freddy just shows up to help them scare the puppet back in his box. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the whole point of this was anyway, but... In the next episode, we are introduced to Purple Guy's son, not Michael Afton, who wants to take revenge upon the animatronics for killing his dad. Entering the pizzeria, Purple Guy's son states that the location will continue to be haunted until they bring his dad back. So they decide to patch the remnants of Springtrap up beneath the giant fan and try to bring Purple Guy back to life, or at least what's left of it, which they somehow do. Sort of. He has a fairly small head and Chica's legs. But that seems okay for Purple Guy's son, who walks out with his dad and into the sunset. Then we get to probably one of the weaker episodes. It's basically a massive scavenger hunt that Foxy leads the other animatronics on. It also involves PAL's other popular series, Minecraft Hotel, as the animatronics physically visit the building. They all find Foxy staying in a very nice penthouse suite, but he's somehow broken his tailbone and is unable to physically move. The gang thinks the best course of action is to push him off the building and rebuild him back to brand new, which is 100% successful. Next, Chica is seen being taken by Withered Bonnie, which is a good time to note that during their time in the incinerator, his beak melted off and it's been that way ever since. However, now none of them can actually leave the pizzeria, even though they could last episode, but I don't know. Accessing the computer in the security office, they're now all able to leave, and they travel back to the original pizzeria in a car that they can drive. Going back to the old storage room, they find Chico behind bars and Withered Bonnie, who's personally offended after they scared him so badly. So as a gift, the animatronics give him a pumpkin pie, which he declines. For their last chance of redemption, they tell Bonnie that they're very sorry, and he forgives them and lets go of Chica. The next episode takes us back to the old pizzeria with flashbacks to Dennis's childhood, specifically on the same day that all the kids' lives changed forever. In an attempt to stop the same events from happening again, Dennis tries to make sure that none of his friends go alone with the animatronics. But he's unable to stop Alex, so he instead follows him to the back room this time. This is where their version of the Bite of 87 happens.
No! Gosh. Oh, my ear!
That's a tasty head.
No!
I'm eating that ear.
He just bit me! It's 1987!
That is a tasty ear.
As Dennis tries to run away, Foxy follows, who eventually gets on stage. This wakes up Freddy from his sleep, surrounded by his friends. But he slowly realizes that nothing seems to add up here, like Foxy and Chica, who... I'll just play the clip.
Oh, love, is that you? Oh, sweetheart. I know we can't be together because of the astronaut apocalypse, but I want to say one thing. I'm in love with you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you, and no one can stop that. So what we're going to do, sweetheart, is we're going to kill the president of the United States of Mexico, and we're going to ride his spaceship all the way to Tanzania, baby.
He wakes up once again to his friends surrounding him. Freddy, realizing the horrors of their situation, decides to finally enact revenge against their killer. Good thing too, because Purple Guy somehow just shows up, not wearing his Springtrap costume anymore for some reason. That's when they surprise attack him. They begin by ruthlessly interrogating him by flossing his teeth and blinding him with Oreos.
Okay, I think our torture is a bit low-key right now. It's not very, like, heavy and comparable to the tortures he put us through, you know?
What do you mean? We just flossed his teeth.
Yeah, that was dark.
Yeah, do you see? That's what I mean. That's not dark. That's just it's like a dentist.
After some time, being 15 minutes long, Freddy finally has a one-to-one with Purple Guy, including a pretty cool montage of the things he'd experienced in the series so far. This ends with Freddy detonating a bomb inside of the pizzeria with Purple Guy inside, fully demolishing the location. But that's just the end of Season 4. In the series' final season, we cut to 30 years from the time that Freddy fully detonated the new pizzeria. With this, the construction of Fazbear's Fright, a new horror attraction, has been fully completed, and all the animatronics are left to just wander the location. Freddy meets back up with his friends, Foxy, Chica, and Toy Bonnie, who's explained to just be a part of the newer animatronics, strangely, and notices that Springtrap is still at the attraction. Afterwards, they actually physically leave the place, and unbeknownst to them, Springtrap has been activated. When they all return, Freddy is attacked by Springtrap, who eventually splits off from the main group. Looking at the cameras, he notices that they're all having dinner together.
They're having a dinner party?
Springtrap seems to have calmed down a bit and warns the group about the Phantom animatronics. The Phantoms show up in the next few episodes, first being Phantom Freddy and then Phantom Chica. And also Phantom Mangle, almost forgot about them. The animatronics take them down with the help of some gadgets, which culminates in the arrival of Phantom Foxy, who ends up kidnapping Chica on his massive blimp. The problem being they just don't know how to get up there or defeat him.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw the spear, it's going to pop the blimp.
Ooh, and down it comes.
That's right.
Okay, give it a toss. Here we go. Give it a toss.
That's when this cow character named Minion, who we'd seen conspiring with Phantom Foxy, suddenly decides to magically teleport the group up there, which eventually leads them to rescue Chica. However, inside there's really no way to get out, so Minion also helps with that. What a nice guy. They decide to get the help of Minion to defeat Phantom Foxy, who helps distract the captain while the animatronics set explosives all around the ship. This results in the entire blimp exploding, with the fate of everyone unknown. Just kidding, it seems that all the animatronics are fine and back at Fazbear's Fright. Barely an inconvenience, especially since this is the opening day of the horror attraction. But they're met once again with Purple Guy's son, who even 30 years later still hasn't forgotten that they killed his father again. When the animatronics continue to search around the amusement park for him, he sneaks into Fazbear's Fright and begins to burn the place down.
Gosh,
Fire, ATM.
Fazbear Fright's on fire!
So I'm gonna go inside real quick and collect my belongings.
Wait, what? No, you should never do that.
Instead of using force, they begin to belittle and bully Purple Guy's son into running away. When they follow him, it leads to a giant hatch and note saying he'd gone to a sister location. Bet you see where this is going. Freddy is the first to jump inside, noticing a dark silhouette that turns around, revealing them to be Circus Baby. And that's it. Ending on June 13th, Freddy Fazbear Origins was left on a pretty heavy cliffhanger. But what about the other series they provided? You know, the one called FNAF Sister Location? Well, the sub-series, literally, is described as, quote-unquote, disconnected to our Freddy Fazbear Origins series. And that's no lie. It doesn't follow the series finale at all, and has all the PALS members as fully grown adults here. Maybe I'll cover that series sometime in the future. So all in all, what did I think of it? Honestly, I still think it holds a bit of ground, at least compared to other series that did the same thing. Tie this in with kind of funny, unscripted moments, and you got a fairly enjoyable Minecraft roleplay series, at least for the time. But that's not to say that the length of each episode was really necessary. Some of these videos are like 30 minutes or longer, and absolutely did not need to be. Add this onto random character introductions that serve no purpose, like Mangle and Balloon Boy, or characters that are really just never explained, Golden Freddy and Wither Bonnie's appearances, and sometimes this series can be a little bit of a chore. However, after watching it all, I still think of this series fondly when thinking about early FNAF on YouTube. I really did like the dynamic they provided, and the work they put into each episode is very clear. The different locations especially were really cool, and I like that they provided an entire attraction around the final season. I especially love when they'd point out lore tidbits in the comments, because it seemed like they really cared about the story they were making. Let's just hope Coral doesn't find out that I still kind of like their videos. I heard he's not a big fan of adults watching this channel.